and Magnus Carlsen. You hear that matchup, you think Magnus Carlsen, great record against Anish historically, but look at him. I mean, he is really working hard at the board because the position has gotten extremely spicy, and it's more or less a line that we were predicting. There are some differences, which is important and makes Magnus's position better than some of our earlier analysis. But as we can see, the pawn did go up to d7 after the knight jumped to c4. Then the knight went to c2, wrapped around to d4. The rook is cut off. But Tanya, b4. Anish strikes. He's got two good rooks. And oh my gosh, rook takes d7 was played. And I keep seeing the eval bar creep up. Rook takes d7, winning a pawn, seems to have been a mistake.
And you saw that expression by Magnus. I think he realizes that he has gone down the wrong way. He does look a lot more tense. You can look at him and you can feel that he is in trouble. Robert, rook d7 was such a natural move to be played. You want to pick up that d7 pawn. I'm loving how calm Anish looks. He is in control, slightly surprised, immediately he's reaching out for the bishop. And he's about to move the bishop. Will he move it to d5, hitting that knight on c4, also stopping the connection between the knight on d4 and the rook? Also, you've got no good square, because take a look at this. The problem is that after bishop d5, if you move the knight back to d6, white can go on and pick up the pawn on c5. And now, because you moved your rook away from d8 to d7, the b8 square is free for your rook to jump in, and this would be bad news for Black's king. Anish plays the move bishop d5, immediately gets out of the board. Magnus has been in big pressure from the start in this game. He hasn't been his typical self of making a move, walking around, checking out the other boards. He's had his head in his hands. He's been fully focused, and it looks like Anish Giri is in driving seat in this one.
And look at Magnus. He's in disbelief right now. And a big problem is what, Tanya, you called this out very early on. The rook is in the corner, not in the game. The king is on the back rank. And here's where the problems, they continue. If you go rook d8, the rook trade seems like, all right, we're trading pieces. Black's up a pawn. That's good news. But bishop a3 is the dagger. The pawn on c5 is hanging. You may think you're just defending the pawn with your bishop, and perhaps Magnus had seen this position in his head, but rook takes d4. It's a sacrifice of rook for knight. But after the pawn takes on d4, there's a bishop on a3 that is happy to see a newly open diagonal. And not only can you take on d6 with the bishop with check, you can keep that pin. Let's go knight e4. Let's take that knight on d6 with the knight. Attack the f7 pawn. This position would be losing for Magnus Carlsen. So you see him. He can't believe it. And Anish Giri's behind him, and he's making a Michaela Moroni face like, excuse me? Like, what just happened here? Anish Giri might take down Magnus Carlsen, and the Vikings magic from the Dutchman continues. He has had so many good performances here, never won the event, a bunch of second-place finishes, but this year might be Anish's year. He is off to a great start, and in this game, after bishop d5, Magnus is in huge trouble.
This is a big, big moment for Anish. Robert, the last time that he beat Magnus Carlsen was back